presents live in its 30th anniversary season the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today from Homestead, Florida, it's Paula Carter's Homestead Classic. Making his third appearance this year is Dave Ferraro. His opponent will be the 1988 Player of the Year, Brian Voss. That winner will face the PBA president, Marc McDowell. And in our semifinal game, we'll see four-time champion Danny Wiseman. Our tournament leader back again, Harry Sullins of Detroit. That's our outstanding field of finalists for this afternoon's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. The professional bowlers have come to South Florida, Homestead. Homestead, some 30 miles southwest of the city of Miami itself. What a change of pace, what a change of scenery. I'm Chris Schenkel aboard Captain Ed Davidson's Reef Rover the Fifth. A 53-foot launch with a beautiful glass bottom, so the tourist trade and us will have an opportunity to see some of the 100 types of reef and the over 500 species of fish. Thank heavens, this is one of the newest of our national parks. Biscayne National Park, the largest of the aquatic parks. It's an area of 181,000 acres that spans from Key Biscayne to Key West, right near the gateway to the Keys themselves. In fact, we're almost in the Keys right now. Nelson Burton Jr. is back at the lanes, Paula Carter lanes, so let's go to him now. Bo?
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. This is the first time we've been at Paula Carter and Don Carter's Pro Bowl. Now, it's been a very warm week in Florida. Temperatures in the mid-80s, and today is no different. Now, our championship field today is arguably the strongest we've seen all year, with 5 proven champions. And another champion in the announce booth with me is the man that won last week at Winter Haven, Chris Warren. Chris, you made some real good clutch shots when it came down to the end last week.
Well, Bo, you know, basically it depends on carrying. When you're carrying and you've got a little bit of room, you have a tendency to get a little pumped up, a little over anxious, and it really shows in your emotions. And I just let my emotions go.
Well, you needed 2 strikes. Here's the final one for the win.
Oh, this was really an exciting shot for me because I got away with a little bit of a tug shot here. And, you know, there was no intention meant towards Bob Vespi or anything, but I was just real pumped up, and I just didn't know what to do other than just to show my emotions.
Well, you showed it, and you showed them who was the champion, and you had a good week this week. So let's look at the championship pair that the players are playing on. The PBA has oiled the lanes down 37 feet this week, with a little heavier concentration in the center and a double application in the first 18 feet. This is all oil in this area. Now, the back end is a little bit dry, the last 23 feet. Now, the 5 right-handed champions are playing all different lines. Our tournament leader, Sullins, is towards the center over the third arrow, out to the channel. The other players are playing a pretty conventional line between the first and second arrows, down in the 1-3 pocket, Chris. Good scores and a lot of money at stake.
That's right, a total of $130,000. First prize, 20, 10-5 for runner-ups, 7, 55, and 45. Paula Carter, Pro Bowl. 2 bowlers of the year, Paula in 1971, Don Carter, her husband, 6 times. As we look at Brian Voss on the left, Dave Ferraro will shoot first. Dave finishing 5th. He's the right-hander from Kingston, New York, with 6 titles. 34th appearance on TV. Beautiful shot. And the game is on.
Ferraro, who has had a little bit of trouble winning in the last year and a half in the championship round, said he's going to go with a little more concentration. But with this strong field today, it's going to be tough for anybody to dominate. Now Voss.
Voss with 11 titles and 10-year PBA membership. Smooth and nice. From Boca Raton, Florida.
Voss with just an ideal style. It's basically a 4-step delivery, and you see at the top of his swing, everything in perfect position. Shoulder high swing, look at the pivot step, look at this knee in perfect position. The good long swing, look at the knee bend, follow through, and obviously a strike on the first frame.
On his right sleeve, up by his bicep, there is a patch which is a logo on the shirt sleeve. It says, "Strike Out Drugs." PBA mission, it's all of our mission. Brian Voss, leaving a 3-6-10.
Voss last year with 6 wins and no losses in singles championship round competition. This is his first appearance this year. Last year, undefeated in singles competition as he took 2 titles. He lost once in the doubles.
And the man that's appearing in his 44th telecast. PBA National Championship in Toledo. Our cover boy. And here is a very consistent Ferraro. Last year on TV 8 times. 2/5 this year. True value and the Fairlanes.
Now Ferraro, just a 5-step delivery. He's a little bit shorter than Voss. He's much more upright, but look at the position of the arm swing, much lower. But here's the key. Look at this right foot right here driving through and now into the stand-up position. The good loft over the foul line. Dave Ferraro, one of the top players in the tour, going against Brian Voss, 3rd frame.
Okay, after a double, Dave Ferraro's left a 10-pin on the left lane. Bowling establishment opened as recent as September.
Beautiful bowling center.
Homestead, Florida. Whoa, what fertile land around here, growing of limes and avocados, and they're shipped all over the world right from this area. The limes. Did you ever try lime on stone crab?
Oh, delicious.
Okay, a 3rd frame strike by Brian Voss.
Voss off to strike, spare strike. Ferraro with a 9-pin lead, starting with a double. Chris, the last game, the 42nd game last night, Voss was in 7th place, bowled a 287 game, starting with 10 in a row. His wife, Andrea, looks on, greeting her husband.
Mother of Joshua.
And expecting their 2nd child on Father's Day.
All right, nice double. Andrea, Muncie, Indiana, loves it. We're in our first match here in Homestead, Florida. Voss leading by 1. We'll return after this. Well, I guess 2 mothers could love them.
Well, my high school picture, Chris, you still look the same.
Thanks. I still wear that tie, by the way. I love it.
Now Ferraro up in the 4th frame. He trails by 1 pin. He's had strikes in the 1st and 2nd, a 10-pin in the 3rd, bowling against the very tough Brian Voss.
Crossing over, leaving the 6-pin. Another finish.
Here's a shot that just goes left of target. You have to follow through towards your target. Brian pulls the ball in front of his body. Fortunately, crosses all the way over and leaves just the 6 and avoids the split.
Covered it beautifully. Dave Ferraro recalls the person who had the greatest impact on his pro career.
Well, it's got to be my father. When I was 16, 17, I was going to follow in his footsteps to be a harness driver. And he actually talked my brother and I into getting our PBA cards in 1980. And at this point, I'm glad he pointed me in this direction.
His brother Steve also tried the tour.
Lorraine and Jack Ferraro. Ardent rooters, naturally their son, as is Dave's lovely wife, Gloria, John David, and Gabrielle, their 2 children.
Voss, 33 years old, the most experienced of any of the top 5 players. He learned to bowl in his father's bowling establishment in Anchorage, Alaska. His dad was in the Air Force. Then Brian joined the Army and was the All-Army champion in 1979 and 1980 and got a lot of good experience bowling in the tough conditions in Europe. So he's a well-rounded, tough champion.
1988 Player of the Year, Brian Voss, the family man, introduces us to his newfound inspiration. Watch.
Well, to me, this is really what life's about. I can't tell you what a joy he's meant to me and Andrea. And I think as far as bowling, you know, I'm going to teach him right for wrong, and if he picks up a ball, that's up to him. But it's really been a joy.
Looks to me like he'll play for the Miami Dolphins. Good size.
Voss off to a 12-pin lead, can make it 22, 6 frame.
He thought it was much wilder than the result, believe me, 10-pin.
Only crossed over to the left. The lane conditions here where the left lane hooks a little bit more than the right, but they're pretty well matched pair. Voss, who uses a much shinier ball, higher surface friction, or lower surface friction, across lane, straight shot, easy spare.
If Brian can win today, go all the way, in other words, win 4 games, he could go over the $1 million mark. $986,000 thus far. For Dave Ferraro, $745,000 career earnings. Okay. Big double coming at the halfway point, Bo.
As you see, Jack and Lorraine Ferraro, who own 2 bowling centers in Kingston, New York, upstate New York, down here watching his son as he throws this double to cut the lead of Voss's down to just 1 pin through 6 frames. The wall shot. Dave Ferraro likes it. And Dave's trouble in this losing streak is he's never really been in the matches. Now he's in it. He's almost even through 6 frames, can take the lead here in the 7th.
Okay. Stringing them now is Dave Ferraro, Kingston, New York, against Boca Raton's Brian Voss. Very appropriate to have figure skating on this weekend because it's the anniversary of several world championships won by the likes of Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamill, Linda Fradiani, and Scott Hamilton. This was the weekend various years ago that they won it, and these, of course, are the professional champs. Professional as we go to Bo Burton.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. PBA President Marc McDowell. Mark, the players have gone to 1-hour practice. This is the 2nd week. The lane's looking a lot better. What do you think?
Well, you know, personally I voted against it. I thought we should have shorter practice like we do during the tournament, but, you know, we're going to give it a shot. Hopefully the carry down will settle down a little bit more for the show. The scores look good today, so I'm going to have to be on top of my game.
All right, he's got what it takes, Chris. He'll be tough in the next match. Back to you.
The youngest president of the PBA in his 2nd term, Marc McDowell, Voss. Okay, that puts him in the lead by a pen. Dave Ferraro now has strung 4 in a row.
Chris, that's the first really good Ferraro's gotten in about 1.5 years in the championship round. Throws a wild shot here in the 8th frame on the right-hand lane. Has the 5-pin roll against the 9. Great break. He takes the lead by 9 pins to set up the potential scores. Most strikes we've seen in a while. A potential 268 for Ferraro, a potential 259 for Voss.
Next Saturday on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour, PBA Hall of Famer and Triple Crown winner Johnny Petraglia comes home to play host. With the split, Dave Ferraro, Johnny will be playing host the world's best bowlers.
As Ferraro gets a disastrous split here in the 9th frame. He's caught in between. Should he go for it, try to drive one of the pins over into the other one, or just take the 2 count?
So it's a 2 count.
As we see the bowling center from the rear view.
It's the only bowling center I know that has a shoe shine stand. And the best in the business, Jimmy Harden, masters it. What a shine that fellow gives.
Voss with an opportunity, Chris, to close the door. but he goes high, avoids the split, but has a very difficult spare, the 3, 6, 9, 10. Get the ball over between the 3 and 6, let the ball take out the 9 and the 10. If he misses, he'll still have a lead, but it'll go to the very last frame.
Okay. Yes, a week from today, North Brunswick, right near Princeton. As the Pro Bowlers Tour continues, Johnny Petraglia, who finished here this week, 39th. He'll be hosting us there, 3 Eastern, 2 Central. Petraglia Open.
Del Ballard Jr., defending champion. Now for Brian Voss, he simply needs a real good double and 5 pins, and he'd at least guarantee a tie. The door is still open.
See the wireless mic there by his chest. He's a good caption writer, isn't he?
Well, he throws as good a shot as you can in the 10th frame, stays real low with it. That's important. Rips the 5 out. Now he's set himself up where he needs a strike and 6 pins to lock up victory. Anything less, Dave Ferraro can throw a double in the 10th and win.
When he won Player of the Year honors in '88, he won $225,000. Beaten later by Alby's $298,000. This is fun, isn't it?
All right, Voss needs 6 to win.
And he gets them all. Brian Voss moving a step closer to that $1 million mark. Marc McDowell, however, stands in his way. ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We're back again, Paula Carter Pro Bowl in Homestead, Florida. 235 for Brian Voss with 9 strikes, defeating Dave Ferraro's 207. Now it's the president of the PBA stepping in, Marc McDowell and Brian Voss, who could call them the 2 cover boys. Sort of lookalikes. Let's see how their bowling matches.
Well, both players are very physical players. They've done a lot of weightlifting, and they're still practicing. Marc McDowell has a couple of practice shots coming up, and he'll make a decision right now on who starts the match. The higher finisher, Chris, gets to make the decision.
And seeing Marc in this match reminds us that this is our 30th anniversary season, and as he told me as a kid, he became interested really in professional bowling by watching this series.
Ooh. Well, a lot of players have learned from watching, and a lot of them use videotape for their own instructions. Both these players now. Voss starts the match. That means he will finish last.
Leaving the 10 pin. Didn't want that. 235 to 207 in his victory, if you just joined us, over Dave Ferraro. Four years in the Army. Among other skills, he got to bowl a lot.
He was the All-Army champion 1979 and 1980. Well-rounded player. Now here's another well-rounded young player. Very strong physical player. Continues to improve. He won our first telecast of the year, the AC Delco Classic.
17th telecast in his career. He too, with a 10-pin. President of the PBA, Rookie of the Year in 1986. He's done a lot in his young career.
And he's got a very strong game, as you see Marc McDowell with a very solid delivery. 5-step compact delivery. He'll be just about the same position as you see Voss. You see the arm cupped and the knee bent right here at the pivot step, getting ready to drive through. Hits the line solid. Look at the follow through right to the target and leaves the 10.
West Texas State is his alma mater. This native of Wisconsin, bowling out of Madison.
I met him in Madison, Chris, about 5 years ago on an exhibition tour, and there was a number of people asked me what I thought of his potential, and he's one of the best I've ever seen. And obviously he keeps getting better and better on the tour as his wife looks on. Patty McDowell, the first lady of the Professional Bowlers Tour, watching her husband perform here at Paula Carter's Pro Bowl.
spare up.
A little wide on that shot, leaves the wall shot 7. See the ball of McDowell's. Watch the action of the head pin. That's the key pin. The good spin on the ball. Goes to sideboard, drives out the 4 and 8, but leaves him the easy 7 pin. In this bowling center, one tough thing we've had all week long has been making spares. This is a brand new installation. It takes about a year for it to settle down. Every once in a while, a spare shot will get away from a player.
And Nelson Burton continues his competitive ways, finishing 17th. Oh, you're tough.
Not a bad week. Appreciate it. Thank you. The full grip of Brian Voss, second frame.
Leaving a 3-6-10.
322.
You see Voss's shot coming between the second and third arrows, and what happens is he goes just a little bit high, leaves the 3-6-10. He's up on the lane across for the spare.
Coming up after bowling, ABC's Wide World of Sports heads to Oslo, Norway, as world champions and Olympic gold medals take the ice for the dance competition in the World Challenge of Champions. Then, the American Championship Racing Series heads west with the running of the Santa Anita Handicap Plus. A special report from Alaska in the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race follows us, Wide World of Sports. High hit and a 6-10.
Voss had a 1-hit light and 2 high this game. He's really thinking and what kind of adjustments he makes on the lanes. Now, if he goes high, Voss makes about 3 different adjustments. He may use a little bit harder ball. He'll move left on the approach, and he'll loft the ball a little bit more on the foul line.
Brown winning the Bud Light Classic in Sunrise the day before he was married to Andrea. Now Patty's husband, Marc. Good mixing. During the AC Delco Championship this year, Marc McDowell had a 25-second violation. That's not on his mind today, though.
Well, a little bit. You know, I just try to keep my pace going, get my hands dry. I have problems with that sometimes. The $100 fine I can handle. It's that second one for $1,000 that kind of worries me a bit. So I'm going to just make sure I stay away from the 100 and I won't have to worry about it.
And he has 25 seconds, Chris, from the time the ball comes back from the ball return to get his shot started. So he's gone through about 15 of those seconds now. He's very quick today.
Okay, and Marc is one of the top 3 money winners. All right, go back 30 years with us now and listen to Hey Baby by Bruce Channel.
I want to know if you'll be my girl. Hey, baby, I want to know.
Yeah, one of the 3 Triple Crown winners, Donnie Petraglia, will be our host. The defending champion is Colorful Pete Weber. He'll be there competing. Brian Voss. He's trailing by 14. Okay, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Danny Wiseman, yesterday you made the biggest move of any player. You moved from 19th place up to 3rd, but the lanes were hooking a lot more yesterday, and they're quite a bit tighter or slicker today. Any strategy for the slick lanes?
Well, I think I'm just going to take it one shot at a time. I know they're a little bit tighter. They usually do get that way on the show, and ball speed, I think, for me is going to be very critical. I think I'm going to have to stay very soft and wait on my swing and go through the shot and just take it one shot at a time.
That's a good adjustment. Good luck, Danny.
Oh, with that double, Brian Voss pulls within 4. All this happening at the Polo Carter Pro Bowl in Homestead, Florida, 35 miles southwest of downtown Miami, right near the Biscayne National Park.
And more importantly, Chris, 20 miles north of Key Largo. Those keys are fun.
Oh, yes. Well, we haven't had this leave for a while, Bo.
If you can remember the last time, partner, your memory's better than mine.
No.
Here we go. The 1, 2, 6, 8, 10. Quite unusual. In fact, I haven't seen it in an awfully long time. What Marc McDowell has to do is try to get the ball to the left of the head pin, drive the head pin into the 610, and have the 2 take out the 8. Let's see what happens.
Great. That's when you don't practice too often. But that's the way to do it, right, Nelson?
What a superb shot. He does it just as we drew it up. The head pin drove into the 610. The ball hit the 2. The 2 took out the 8. Excellent shot.
Okay. A Homestead Classic. Named for a grand lady and her husband, Don.
Marc McDowell starting a little bit on the right side of the approach. He's going to drift a little towards the center. He'll be around the second arrow. Watch these angles. Good solid arm swing.
Seven pin.
One of the great bowlers of all times drifted a little bit left on the approach. That was Dick Weber, who did the grand opening here for Paula Carter, and Dick opened this bowling center with a 280 game. So any one of these players would gladly have that today.
That's right. And Marc combining with Dick Weber to win a doubles championship in Buffalo. 2 generations represented, but victorious. Harry Sullins, tournament leader, continues to warm up now. Danny Wiseman does the same. Double working for Voss.
Voss, like all good players, has 4 adjustments in his game. He does it with speed control, loft control, angle on the lane, and the type of ball he's using. Here he throws the ball a little bit wide, head pin to the sideboard, takes out the 4, 5, the 7 remains. He would lead by 1 pin.
8 championships here on ABC. Oh, there, speaking of champions, Paula Carter, our hostess, and her husband, Don Carter. Just a lovely pair, and that's Paula's sister behind, the brunette, Marcy.
Terrific hosts. This bowling center about 8 months old, and the pros have really given it the baptism it needed. The fans have been fantastic, and they've been rewarded with what great champions here in the final. Now Voss leads by 1, 7th break.
Oh.
What a bad break. The 5 pin should have gone over towards the 7. Instead, it went straight back, and he ends up with a 7-10 split. All he can do is just kind of throw the ball at this 10 pin, and hopefully he can bounce one out. He will trail after this shot if he doesn't convert.
Went all out, did the 11-time champion, Brian Voss. Losing the lead to Marc McDowell. We'll be back. Okay, Voss has his fans here. He resides at not too far away, Boca Raton, Florida.
Going against a very tough opponent, Marc McDowell. Now, Marc is working on a 203 game through 6 frames. He has a 12-pin lead over Voss. Voss with a bad break in the 7th frame, the 7-10 split on a apparently good pocket hit. Now McDowell, who is waiting for everything to settle down in the center, carefully sets himself, and he's ready to go.
The gateway to the Florida Keys, which would seem to be an idyllic spot for honeymooners. We look at money leaders, which is very important for honeymooners as well. Bruce Hamilton leading the pack, and McDowell and Sullins next in line are both on our telecast, and Dave Ferraro, who was defeated by Brian Voss, has the number 4 position in the averages.
Now McDowell, 8th frame, can take a 22-pin lead.
And as I was going to say, ABC Sports Associate producer Nancy Stern is getting married today to Dr. Rick Winter. And of course, all of us at ABC Sports wish them well. It'll be Dr. and Mrs. Rick Winter. Nice going, Nancy.
Nancy, a production assistant on the Pro Bowlers Tour a few years back. Now with talking about back, Voss's back is to the wall. He trails by 22 pins, 8th frame.
Wobbly 10.
Partner, that was a solid 10. Boy, he almost got it. That 6-pin just nicked it. As you see the angle that Brian Voss shot, he was right around the second arrow. Came up here, looks solid in the pocket, but not to be. Watch that 6 fire on the 10. Just nicks it.
You know, Bo, as I look at Marc McDowell and Brian Voss, I'm often asked the question, are these professional bowlers athletes? You bet. You bet.
Well, you think about it, Chris, you bowl like in the finals yesterday. We bowled 16 games plus practice. That's maybe 20, 25 games. How many miles you walk with 16 pounds in your hand. Plus all these guys cross-train when they're away from the tour. Look at Voss, the body he's got, a weightlifting, running. He's in shape.
Who has better hand-eye coordination?
Yeah.
Okay. Won the first match, 235 to 207.
Boy, his concentration is so good. Perfect shot. McDowell, 9th frame, 22-pin lead.
Nice break. Getting that 7-pin the last minute. In 8 tournaments, we've had 8 different winners.
No domination this year, Chris. Just too many good players out there. As you see McDowell hitting light, driving the 5 into the 7. And right now he's put himself in a position where a good count and a mark in the 10th would ensure victory. If he opens, Voss can still win.
Well,
the door is open. Right now, Marc McDowell with a good count and a spare would have won. He's going over to look at the scoreboard right now. If he spares, he'd have 219, but this is a tough shot. He needs to get the ball to get over here to the right of the 3-pin, drive the 3 into the 4, a very tough shot. If he makes it, he ensures victory. If he misses, Voss can win.
careful preparation. Left lane.
All right, for Brian Voss, it opens the door. He must strike on the next 2 balls and get pins. 2 strikes and 7. Anything less, Marc McDowell will go into the semifinal against Danny Wiseman.
There's one.
What action the last couple of weeks, partner. Right down to the very last ball.
Yuck.
Some of the greatest players.
Can I?
Voss says yuck. He wants a re-rack. He carefully looks at the rack. He's taking one of his 2 re-racks. A couple of good things about this, Chris. Maybe the pins were off spot, but just that little extra time as you see the pin setter inserting one of the 21 pins in every rack. Voss, a new set coming up. Here they are. This shot and 7 pins for the win. Anything less, he loses.
Well now. Last year, Brian Voss won at Austin. He won the Pinole Open.
Great clutch player. Hasn't lost a singles match, Chris, as you mentioned, in 2 years. And at decision time, when you need 7 pins, you got to go for the pocket. I don't think he'll throw this one down the middle like we saw the other time. He's not going to give that head pin away. He's not going to throw it.
All right. What a powerful is he pumped up. Brian Voss has won 2. Now Bo teams up with Cindy Coburn to show you how a good practice session should take place. Watch and listen.
On today's bowling tip of the week, I'm going to show you how a good practice session should go. In the sport of golf, they have a little luxury that we don't have. They have a driving range set aside. They have a putting green that they can work on their game. However, in the sport of bowling, we're in the exact same environment with which we compete. Now, with the help of touring professional Cindy Coburn Carroll, we'll give you some tips on how you can improve your game during your practice session. Now, Cindy's been working on the 10-pin all day long. Her goal is to make 10 consecutive 10-pins. She's made 9 in a row. This is the one that really counts. Left side of the approach, third arrow at the target, and over the 10-pin.
It felt real good, Bo. I think I got my swing grooved, and it feels real comfortable.
Your game looks real solid, Cindy. She made 10 consecutive 10-pins. She can go on to something else in her practice. Now, I've been working on left side spares, and my goal is to make 10 consecutive 7-pins today.
Okay, today Bo's going to stand to the right and shoot over the third arrow, maintaining that good ball speed in case he runs into those real dry conditions.
Cindy, I'm kind of happy with that. I kept the ball speed up around 20, made the 7-pin. My swing feels real good. So take a tip from the 2 pros. When you go to practice, forget about keeping score. Don't worry about people watching you. Work on a difficult part of your game and get a workout partner. Your game will improve. Now, next week on the Bowling Tip, we'll show you how a top professional gets out of a slump with Robert Lawrence.
That's right. We're at the Homestead at the Paula Carter Pro Bowl for the Paula Homestead Classic. And here's our flight board coming up showing you that Brian Voss has now won 2 matches, 9 strikes, 235, 207, and then 211, 207, right down to the last ball.
A solid field this week, Chris. 160 players, 198 average, 207 pretty average for the top 24. Very competitive this week. Hamilton, our true value champion, want to be a cranker Abood in 9th place. Hall of Famer Gary Dickinson, local favorite Wilson 11th. 2 proven champions there. Deadeye. Watch this young man, Stevens. His game's improving. He's looking for a sponsor.
Look who's finished 17th. 1,900 smackers.
Better arrest that guy. John Mazza, Bowers in 19th place. Jason Couch on his quest for Rookie of the Year. Billy Young, U.S. Open champion, Palumbi. Bob Davidson, nice guy, first finals. Charlie Standish round out the top 24.
And next week, March 14th, finals of the $150,000 Johnny Petraglia Open. That's in North Brunswick, New Jersey. And 2 weeks from today, we'll be in Parma Heights, Ohio, $135,000 Cleveland Open. Now Brian Voss, after 2 victories, meets Danny Wiseman.
Chris Wiseman, seeing how well that Voss finished, has decided to take Voss off the right-hand lane at the finish, and he decides he will start the match, and Voss will now finish on the left. Pretty smart move.
All right, perfect pocket hit. The man who last year, with 3 televisions, had a 9-1 TV record.
Voss, 2 victories in hand, carefully sets himself on the approach. He's got that little 4.5-step delivery, everything in perfect position. So
tit for tat here after one frame in our third game. You're looking at the winner of the first two, Brian Voss, and we're all even.
And you talk a little bit about strategy. Danny makes Brian Voss start the match, and the bowler who has started the match has only won 14 of 32 times so far this year through 8 weeks, just 44%. So we'll see if Danny's move was good. 9 frames will tell the story.
A double by Brian Voss. Now, can Danny Wiseman do the same? All but the 2-pin for Danny.
Very wide shot for Danny. He is a pretty good sized hook ball, but he is very wide with this shot. As you see him from the backside, taking that little 4.5 step delivery. Look at the position he's in. He's going to slide right through here, and his ball is going to go all the way through down there. And as you see, too wide, gets a great break, just leaves the 2.
All right, a lot of red with Danny today, the shirt and the ball.
And our production truck gave us a very nice shot. As you see Danny putting some tape in his ball, and I like that shot from the back. You can see the angle the player is going to swing, the trajectory he takes, and how well he tucks his swing. Very important.
We're at the gateway to the Florida Keys, beginning of a unique Florida lifestyle. Homestead. Two out of 3 frames, strikes for Danny.
Danny, who said he uses more than 1,000 pieces of tape in 3 months on the Professional Bowlers Tour, is quickly going through 2 of them in the first 2 frames. As you see him inserting another one on the side of the ball. Got to keep that good feel. Very hot in this bowling center, and right now he's under the heat of this man, Brian Voss.
3 in a row.
Voss really zeroed in. A young man who attended Mesa College in Colorado, spent 4 years in the service, has bowled all over the world, and you see where he's playing these lanes. Right here, he'll be starting, be sliding around the center, be right around the second arrow. Just really good, solid lines, and watch that follow through.
Hit.
Slow.
Well, he's speaking to himself there. He said just too slow, and that's one of the things that players often do. They want to hit their target, and so they soften up to aim, and the ball cuts through the middle. Bad break.
1 and 2 leaves 3. Okay, we're in our third match, the semifinal leading to the championship. We'll be back. Now making his 6th television appearance in a 4-year career with 4 titles. Danny Wiseman, the long approach. Now checks his target. Here's his style. Leaving a 10-pin. Here's a man with his 5 television appearances has averaged .229. On this championship pair in 2 games this week, he averaged 197, had a high of 279. Now for the 10-pin. It's an all-even match as we go to Nelson Burton.
Thank you, Chris. Our tournament leader, Harry Sullins. Harry, you're the only true power player in the championship round today. Now, the other players are playing around the second arrow, trying to thread a fine line. Is that what you're going to try to do, or are you going to go with your best stuff?
Well, Bo, I'm going to be in that same zone. I'm going to try the opposite principle. Instead of using dull equipment, I'm going to use some shinier stuff and try and go a little more direct. Hopefully my revolutions in turn can get pin action, and that'll give me the advantage.
He's got a good game plan, Chris. We'll know in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
And Danny coming through with a strike. Harry Sullins, who is always out on tour, has the qualities of a biathlete. He just doesn't ever stop working. Now Brian Voss, all even. Shooting in the 5th frame now, semifinal match. Started with 3 in a row, and then an open frame, and here he comes back.
Good comeback by Voss, but he made a technical error there in the 4th frame when he had the 4, 6, 7, 10, the hardest common split in all of bowling. He should have gotten 8 pins, but I think he let his temper get a little away from him and got 7, and now he is only tied instead of leading by 2. He can make it a 10-pin lead with a strike in the 6th. It's all even.
Remember, he's won 2 games, a total of 15 strikes, 9 in his first game victory, 235 to 207 over Dave Ferraro, and 6 strikes, 211 to Marc McDowell's 207.
Danny has a style very similar to Ballard, Holman, or Hardwick. They take the long, gangly approach with a real long slide. And what that allows the player to do is keep the ball on line for a long period of time. You cut back on your leverage a little bit, but it's very good for accuracy.
Shooting for that double, leaving a 7-pin.
And right now he has lost just enough leverage to have the ball, what we call on the tour, roll out. He's starting the ball to the left side of the lane, going between the 2nd, 3rd arrows out to the edge, and then the ball is kind of quitting, what we say rolling out, losing its spin, and is not quite as effective in the strike zone when that happens.
Last year, Danny won 2 of his 3 telecast appearances, Seattle and St. Louis. All right. Danny Wiseman shares his formula for success in the championship round.
Well, I attribute it to myself to be able to focus and take it one shot at a time. It's very important to do that. You can't bowl the game. You have to bowl it one frame at a time. And I try to do that. And it's worked very well for me so far.
I think one of his other keys is he keeps his eyes on the target well past when the ball passes over it.
Sliding into the line, which in the past had some trouble with. Semi-final match. Voss leading by 10. We'll be back. I call this man the professor of quarterbacks, Don Stark. He has helped Bob Greasy. He and his close buddy Dan Marino. Just a delightful veteran of the National Football League and lots of talent and can communicate it.
Great guy.
A partner, one of the partners here in this establishment.
I think he's invested wisely. Now here's a man trying to go to the bank with a 20-pin lead with another strike.
Okay. 3 in a row now, upping his lead to 20.
Brian Voss all year long has been close. He kept, as you see, wife Andrea very happy with the action so far with his husband's 2 wins and a 20-pin lead through 7. But Voss said, Bo, I'm close, I'm close, I'm close. I just need to break through. He broke through in the last game last night with 287. Now he's on the verge of having a chance to bowl for the championship.
15 strikes, 2 victories. Strikingly pretty. Andrea, a Ball State University grad. Coming up after our Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, Wide World heads to Oslo, World Champions, Olympic gold medals, dance competition, the World Challenge of Champions, and the American Championship Racing Series, Santa Anita Handicap Plus to Alaska. A report on the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race. That's all next. 3-part, wonderful, packed show. And now Danny has doubled.
Danny just can't seem to get untracked on that right-hand lane. He goes strike, spare, strike, spare, strike, spare. It looks like another spare here. And he's been light every single time as his wife, Lisa, looks on. Danny just can't seem to get a good solid feel in the ball. He's putting tape in the fingers, in the thumb, very hot. He's struggling with that feel.
Danny, who won his first 2 titles in 1990, last year with 2, and he earned $87,000.
Wear and tear on the hand, 42 games this week, this being his 43rd. Very warm in Florida all week long. Temperatures low to mid-80s. But right now, Danny Wiseman, who has only lost 1 time in championship round competition in 2 years, is getting ready to taste his 2nd loss if he doesn't start striking.
A big smile coming from the face of our friend of movie fame and nightclub fame, Johnny Johnson, who was a commentator on a series of bowling telecasts, Bo.
We were talking about that earlier with Don Carter. He said it used to get over to 110 degrees on some of those old telecasts. Not quite that warm in here, but Voss can make it very warm for Danny if he strikes right here.
7. Harry Sullins continues to practice off to our right. You can hear the hit and the pinfall because the championship game is coming up.
For Voss, needs a spare in the 9th, a mark in the 10th, and he'll shut out Danny Wiseman. Voss going at a 2:29 pace. The best Wiseman can do is 2:20.
And we were speaking of Johnny.
Get it out of the way, right?
Guitar playing singer, actor. That's behind John Chowdy. There, John. There he is.
And Johnny's wife, Beverly, on hand, also watching the action. Now for Voss, 10th frame, any good count and a mark, and he will meet Harry Sullins for the title. Anything less, Danny can still win.
The bucket.
I don't think he likes that, Chris.
Oh, the call of the wild.
All right, he needs to convert this spare and get 6 pins to win.
Yeah.
Get the ball between the 2 and 5 pins, have the ball take out the 8. If he opens, Danny can still win.
Okay. Part of the Dean of Bowling Writers, bowling writer of the Miami Herald, Bo, goes into the ABC, the American Bowling Congress Hall of Fame, on Thursday in Corpus Christi. He's here, and we congratulate him.
Dick Evans. Now, there's a winner for Voss.
And Bo, that's the 3rd for Brian Voss. He'll now meet Harry Sullins' ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour. We'll return after this message, a word from our ABC station. Thank you, Frank Gifford. And a champion like you, named Brian Voss, has won 3 games in a row, now goes into the finals against Harry Sullins. And Paula Carter's Sterling event, and here she is with her husband, Don. Paula, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce Hall of Champions. You were both inducted along with Bob Beeman, the late Joe Robbie, and Larry Zonka. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was quite an honor.
Don, you've had many, but that was one of your big thrills.
It really was, particularly coming in with Paula at the same time. It was a great night. I'd like to thank Miami.
And one last question, Don. You were the greatest bowler of all time in the 50s and 60s. What difference have you really seen the game from then to the players today?
I think more than anything, Bo, the equipment. The equipment is awesome today. If I threw the ball like they did, I'd be in the gutter on the right side every ball. You know, I hooked at 3 or 4 boards, and they hook at 20 boards, you know.
Well, you're a victim of your environment. These players have adjusted, and you were the greatest. Now we have a great championship match coming up. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Bo.
Paula, great first-time event with your name on it. I hope you have many more.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Can I say hi to my sister, Marion?
Better.
Hi, Marion. I love you.
Okay.
Voss on a roll, has won 3 consecutive matches. Trying to do the same thing Chris Warren did last week, is go through all 4 opponents.
Well, got a little lucky, leaving only the 3-6.
Well, Voss has been solid throughout the matches. He's gotten a little bit off, but there's no real profile to him. He struggled a little bit sometimes at the beginning of a match, a little bit in the middle, but never at the end. He's been there in the clutch. And right now, he'd like to have this 3-6 spare to start off against Harry Sullins.
Okay, spare. Harry Sullins, he's from Detroit. Sturdy, active. 6 years, we say, without missing work, Bo. Something.
He is a grinder. He holds the record, as you said, 184 consecutive current. The old record that he's trying to chase, the all-time record, is Sam Flanagan, 235 consecutive tournaments.
And the tournament leader is 14th telecast replay of that shot.
The only real true power play in the championship round today, 4-step delivery. Now he plants, look at the wrist there and how his elbow is bent, and a little more knee bend, and here's the key, that pivot step as he drives through his shot, and tremendous wrist action around the ball, and he just saws the 5 out in the very first frame.
He won Frank Modica's Showboat Invitational from the 2nd seed. Here he is now, number 1.
Well, Chris, if anything can upset a power player is a shot that's quite that wild. Harry decided he's going to go with what he calls a shiny ball that won't hook so much, and hopefully to play the outside line similar to Voss. On that particular shot, he just hooked it too much and really gets a good break just leaving the 3-pin. He could have missed the head pin on the left.
And misses to the right.
Wow. Almost unforgivable mistake right here. There he goes. The ball just nicks by, but a miss is a miss. Bowling is still 95% accuracy. You have to put that ball in play. Power means nothing if you can't put it where you want.
Tomorrow's crunch time on a Domino's Pizza college basketball doubleheader. First, number 1 Duke is at home, out for revenge against rival North Carolina. Then regional action in Game 2 follows with a Big 8 matchup between Missouri and number 3 Kansas, or in the Pac-10, 8th-ranked USC meets Washington State. And in the Southwest, Texas A&M plays at Texas. Live tomorrow, we're live here in Homestead, Florida.
Voss with a golden opportunity in a 3rd frame to take a 22-pin lead.
That's a lot better than the 7-10.
Well, that 7-10 split, as you mentioned, Chris, almost was his undoing last game. He came back from it in the 4th frame, but here in the 3rd, he knocks out the 7, leaves the 10, and Voss will go across the lane with 22 miles an hour speed, about 19 on his first ball, 22 on the second.
The man that's won 3 games, Brian Voss. Now Harry Sullins, who won in Phoenix in 1989. In 1987, he won his second title, second of 4, in Windsor, Ontario. Harry Sullins used to use just 1 or 2 favorite bowling balls until recently, and he explained why he changed his strategy.
Well, in previous years, I used to get 1 or 2 bowling balls that felt really comfortable, and it would put me in that extra confidence stage. In the last few years, I've been working more with ball weights and pin placement on certain equipment, and I feel if I change quicker, make some faster moves, I knock down more pins. So actually, if you look at it, the last 2 years, it's turned out real good, and it's something I'm going to continue with as long as it keeps going and working well.
All right. Beautiful strike. Harry Sullins. We're in our championship game worth $20,000 to the winner. We'll return after this. At the top of the show, we showed you a part of the Biscayne National Park on Reef Rover 5, owned and piloted by Captain Ed Davidson, who honored us by coming and watching the telecast live.
Voss up in the 4th frame, leads by 2 pins, championship match. Both players eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions this year.
A 10-pin. We left one man out of the triumvirate or quartet that owns these lanes, Bo. We mentioned Don Strockfall and Don Carter. Herbie Yamamura, one of the large lime growers in the area, is a partner here, too.
I think he also has made a good, wise investment.
He also has an alligator farm, which I refuse to visit.
All right, this match has settled down to each player getting over the little bit of nervousness of the championship match. Voss with just a very slim 1-pin lead. 6 frames to determine the champion.
Boca Raton, Florida fans, you hear him in the background for Brian Voss.
You want to see how bowling should be done, watch Voss. Everything in perfect position, that head doesn't move, solid at the line, long follow through, and determination. Sullins trails by 1, can take the lead. He has 2 strikes up, 5th frame.
And he does it. Difference of $9,500 winning or being the runner-up.
Harry Sullins, a product of the college program. He was a walk-on for a scholarship at Vincennes University in Indiana, where he completed his associate degree in bowling lane management. But he went for free.
Deliberate. Watch that clock.
He's got plenty of time. 25 seconds. He'll get up there and get this away with plenty of time to go. He has a 9-pin lead, can make it 19 6 frame.
And then a 4-6-7.
That was not an artistic delivery by any means. Harry Sullins just pulls the ball left of his target, leaves the 4-6-7, Chris. The best he can do is just go over there for that 4-7 and hope something will bounce out and get the 6, but I don't think he can make this, and he will be trailing.
Harry, who won the Showboat Invitational earlier this year. We're in our 9th stop in a tour of 16 cities on the winter tour. Then in June, we come back with 8 on the summer tour.
Watch Voss jump on this one. He's struggling a little on the right-hand lane. He's given a big opening. He has a strike up, can make it 16 pins. Some stats as we go through the 6th frame. The bowler leading after the 5th frame has won 26 of the 32 games so far this year. That's 81%. Voss, as you look at the 2-time player of the year, Monticelli, looking on, Voss is in the catbird seat. He has that lead of 16. He can make it 26. All the odds are in his favor. 7th frame.
Leaving a 10. 10 pin for Brian Voss, left lane. Next week, the Johnny Petraglia Open in North Brunswick, New Jersey. 2 weeks, Cleveland, Parma Heights.
Then the majors start, the national championship at Mike Dugan's Imperial Bowl.
Pins separating these two. Harry trails. His brother and mom operate Glenn's Trophy Shop in Roseville, Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, Harry won one of his 4 titles in Windsor, Ontario, And a week or so ago, the great bowlers, 240 of them, a full house, raised $11,117 to aid Butch Soper in his recovery from surgery.
Butch, one of the great nice guys on the tour. Now for Sullins, who has struggled on the left-hand lead. He needs a strike.
Yes.
Match is up for grabs right now. Brian Voss looks to the scoreboard. He leads by 5 pins, spare working. Sullins, who struggled on the left-hand lane, he threw a wild shot in the second and missed the spare. A wild shot in the sixth where he left a 4, 6, 7. Got zeroed here in the 8th frame and now has put some pressure on Voss.
He has a right to hold his head.
Doesn't like that shot. The 2-7, but for a right-hander, it's a little bit easier. He needs to get the ball to the left of the 2-pin and drive that 2-pin into the 7. Not tough, but almost critical at this point. Don't want to give Harry Sullins an opening late in the match.
Here's a man that's trying to become a millionaire in earnings. Harry Sullins trying to become the first man to win 2 this year. Andrea Voss. Convincing strike.
Superb blueprint, all 10 in the pit, but he has put Sullins in a position where Harry can take it all himself. If he strikes here, he'll have the lead for the first time in the game. If he happened to strike out, he would shut out Voss. Match is still up for grabs and the title.
A 10.
Wanted that one. Voss will now lead by 4 pins if Sullins makes a spare. Harry, a tremendous power player, occasionally has some spare problems. He missed a simple spare in the 2nd frame. If he converts here, he will trail by 4 going into the final frame. Very similar to last week, Chris. It's down to the 10th for the title.
Come up. Okay.
Harry working those shoes over, making sure that he gets a consistent slide on that left sole. Looks at the scoreboard. He knows the story. Trails by 4. No matter what he does, he cannot shut out Voss.
Games of 235, 211, 225 by this man, Voss.
Well, partner, we saw it last week.
Yes.
The players saved the best for the last. We saw Bob Vespi. We saw Chris Warren go to the 10th and throw their best shots. By far, that was Harry Sullins' best shot of the match. He can now retake the lead if he strikes here on his 2nd ball in the 10th. He's taking one of his 2 re-racks. Once again, we saw Voss do this. Take a little time to think about what you have to do. Get that heartbeat to calm down a little bit. A strike here by Sullins would force Voss to strike.
Makes your work a little more difficult for Voss. What a 4-time champion you're looking at, Harry Sullins. I'm surprised he hasn't won more.
I think he's just maturing, Chris. I think Harry has finally decided to take this very businesslike, and you cannot throw 2 balls better than he just did here in the 10th frame. He has the lead by 6, but Voss can still win.
Two, 4, 5. That's a 209 for the Showman Invitational winner this year.
He could be the first 2-time winner if Voss doesn't strike. For Brian Voss, it's very simply this. He must strike on this ball and then get a 4 count and a spare. Anything less than a strike, Voss does not win. It's Sullins' title.
The cover boy has done it. He has won 4 games.
He needs 4 pins, Chris.
Well,
but
if he misses that, I could hit 4.
Well, Ricky Van Shelton, the great country singer, has got a song out. It says, "Keep it between the lines, baby." And that's all he has to do right now. Keep it between the 2 gutters, the 2 lines. And he is the 9th champion in 9 weeks on the Pro Tour. He's checking that scoreboard, but this will be right down the center.
Going for his 12th title with this shot. Oh, yes. Gets them all. Okay. There he is, Brian Voss. Let's go to a commercial and our colleague Frank Gifford. Carter's Brian Voss has gone over the $1 million mark in earnings. Sullins, Wiseman, and McDowell along with Ferraro. The final score, 225 to 209. There's Joshua. And on the right, you see Jimmy Carter, and on the left, Nancy Carter. And the Vosses for the 12th victory, and we'll see you from New Jersey 1 week from today, Johnny Petraglia Open. Goodbye.